Welcome to the Writing in Your Jammies podcast. I'm your host, Jeannie Hall, and I'm pursuing my dreams by helping you make your dreams a reality. I'm an author, blogger, podcaster, and life coach who hopes to inspire you to feel better, live happier, and go after your dreams with a vengeance. You can do it. Join me. Hello, and welcome to the Writing in Your Jammies podcast. This is your host, Jeannie Hall, and this is podcast 13, Affirmations. So today I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite affirmations. Affirmations, for anyone who doesn't know, are basically things that you say to yourself that are positive things that you want to believe about yourself. So last podcast I talked about how important thoughts are to changing your reality and making your reality more pleasant and happy and something that you want. And part of that is changing your belief system. So if you think it often enough and you believe it and you feel it, it will provide the result of becoming your reality eventually. So part of that for me is saying affirmations on a daily basis. And I like to use Pinterest. I find it to be a really interesting and fun app and social media device. I tend to use it just because it's lots of pictures and fun stuff, but also there's a lot of personal development and affirmations and positive quotes and all sorts of things on there. And you can also create your own to go on there as well. So I like to do that just for fun. But another thing I love about it is that a lot of people have taken famous quotes from everyone from Oprah to Mother Teresa to Maya Angelou to Buddha, and they've put them in little picture forms and in quote forms on Pinterest. So that's something I enjoy. So I'm going to share with you a few of my favorite affirmations today. I've chosen 25, so we're just going to do that today, and how important affirmations can be to your personal development journey and your spiritual journey. So the first one I'm going to talk to you about is one from Louise Hay. Louise Hay is one of the powerhouses of personal development and spirituality, a very positive person and teacher and mentor. She passed away recently, but her legacy is the positivity that she's left behind. So this one is, I am unlimited in my wealth. All areas of my life are abundant and fulfilling. And I chose this one because, of course, that is something I'm personally working on, is wealth, but I think a lot of us are. And wealth is not just money. Wealth is feeling like you have enough of whatever it is in your life, of everything, whether it might be money, but maybe it's time. Maybe it is love. Maybe it is support. Maybe it is feelings of trust or wholeness, completeness. Whatever it is in your life that is important to you, if you have a wealth of that, then you have enough. And so that's part of changing your life when you go on a journey of spirituality, is learning to feel like you have wealth in all areas of your life. Wealth is something that you should have in all areas, because there's rich people out there who are miserable, and there are people who say that they're all spiritual and happy all the time who are actually broke and miserable or are sick all the time or whatever. So wealth is part of your health, it's part of your love life, it's part of your love for everything in general, and it's also, of course, financial wealth as well. So all of that is part of wealth. And to be really fulfilled, that's what you need, is to have a wealth of everything. So the second one I'm going to talk to you about is, I am confident that I earn a wonderful living doing work and service that is important to me. So I chose this one because I have chosen a life of service, and which I believe, like I said in the last podcast that I had, that service is all about becoming more of yourself, becoming the real version of you, and doing what makes you happy and makes you light up inside. So if you're doing what you love and you love what you do and you make a living at it, and part of the reason that I think a lot of us are drawn to spirituality and the personal development side of things is because we can see so many examples in that world of people who were suffering in some way, whether it was abuse, a horrible childhood. Some people were homeless. Some people were going the really wrong way, were in jail and all sorts of different things, and then turned their life around. Sometimes it was they were spiritually bankrupt, as far as they were living a very negative life and doing what most of us judge to be bad things. And they turned that around by being of service, being more of themselves. Because if you're yourself, you're going to be, and you're authentic with that, and you're true to yourself, then you're going to be doing things that, if you really love them, then doing a living at that is a joy. It's not work at all. It's not like going to a job that you have to drag yourself to. It's something that you want to do. You want to jump out of bed in the morning and get to it. So that's the reason I talked about this one. I am confident that I earn a wonderful living doing work and service that is important to me. So since my job is very important to me as a life coach, I chose that one. The next one I want to talk about is I feel completely secure in myself. And this is a big one for me personally, because I think, me personally at least, my money woes have come from a lack of security. And it's not that that is really a thing. That's something that we need to understand if we're struggling with money. We are always supported by the universe and by God. We are always secure. But if we feel like we're not and we're fearful, then those kind of things come up, and we tend to bring them up around money. So we feel like financial security is every kind of security. It's really not, but we put that pressure on money and on wealth, and feeling like that's how we're going to feel safe, as if we have a big house, or we have cars, or we have material objects that keep us comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with any of those things. But when you put your spiritual security and your feelings of feeling safe and secure on something like money, and you tie that all up with things that shouldn't be tied up, like money, when you're already secure, the more you can believe that the universe is what keeps you secure, and that you're a spiritual being, you're always secure at all times, and letting go of that fear and accepting it for what it is, then things can really change in your life. So that's why I talk about I feel completely secure in myself. That's a really good one to repeat. Another one, and this one I kind of drew from Rhonda Byrne's The Secret. I live in a friendly universe that is always providing for me. And that's one of those, I brought this one up kind of like the last one. It's really important to have a positive outlook on your life and on the universe supporting you, or God, or whatever you call that higher power supporting you and providing for you. So the law of attraction and the similar spiritual teachings to that is that the universe, or God, is always friendly, always full of love, never full of judgment, never going to condemn you for anything you do. God in the universe is always there to support you. And that's what it is. That you're completely supported at all times. And that you are eternal and everlasting as well. So if you believe that, if you believe that the universe is friendly, and you believe that it's always got your best interests at heart, and that it's always providing for you, your whole life can change. Because if you're coming from a place of fear and doubt and skepticism and all those sorts of things, what happens is it kind of taints your life. You start to look at everything with those feelings and those goggles on, and it makes for a really negative domino effect in your life, because the more you look for negativity, the more you're going to find it. But the same is also true of positivity and good things and beauty. The more you look for those, the more you'll find them. So me personally, I've decided I want to find the good. So that's what I'm doing. The next one I want to say, this affirmation is, I trust the next chapter because I know the author. which this one kind of stood out to me, maybe because I am an author, but also because we are all the authors of our own lives. All of us. We all create our own realities. And so by choosing to write the next chapter to be what we want it to be, we get to basically be in control of our lives. A lot of us, I think, the fear and insecurity and all those kinds of things come because we feel like we're out of control in whatever areas of our life. Like me, I've dealt with weight issues and being overweight. And even though I've lost 40 pounds, I know a lot of that overeating that I used to do was all about feeling insecure or not wanting to feel some emotion or something like that. But I would then bury it in eating food. And everybody has their vice that they have. Maybe you have more than one vice. But if you trust the next chapter of your life because you're the one writing it and you're aware of that and you're conscious of it and you're deliberate in your choices, suddenly the controller is back in your hands. You have the remote control yourself. You get to click what channel you're on. So to me, that's just a really important thing, a very empowering thing to know, is that you make your own decisions. The next one is I easily create a routine that allows plenty of time for work, play, and family. And the reason I chose this one was because I feel like balance is a very important thing in our lives. And for those of us who are either in a self-employed type of job, whether it's entrepreneurial or you work from a company remotely and you work at home, you're a freelancer, any of those things, or even if you do work for someone else and have to go to a day job or whatever, night job, whatever it is that you may have, you still create your own routine. But especially for those who are self-employed, I think routines are really, really important, because I think some of the reasons that new businesses fail is because they don't stick to a daily routine of activities and have a plan for their day. And so if they don't make whatever it is, a sales goal, or I was going to talk to this many people but I didn't do it, or whatever it is, because they're not staying focused, then they don't bring in enough income and then their businesses fail. But if you've got a plan and a daily routine that you stick to day in and day out, and whatever schedule it is you choose, how you work as much or as little as you want, but as long as you're sticking to that and you have a plan, it provides your brain with that security that it needs to follow through. It also provides comfort for you, because most of us have worked or do work some sort of regular day job or night job, and that is all about routine and scheduling and things like that. So if you're doing a self-employed type of job, you need to stick to that, or you're going to kind of fall off the rails real easily. The next one I want to say is everything that happens in my life prepares me to achieve my dreams. And this one I love, because as much as I wish I could tell you that everything in your life, once you start to turn to personal development and spirituality, will be all unicorns and lollipops and rainbows, as much as I would love to be able to tell you that, it's just not true. We're going to have challenges in our lives. We're going to have obstacles. We don't know what they are. And I do feel like by living a deliberate life that we're consciously creating, you can change the overall feel of that, and the overall how often negativity comes into your life, I think will be greatly lessened. But there are some things that are out of control. Illnesses or accidents can happen. People can pass away, different things can happen, and we always see those kind of things as bad, and tragedies and things like that. And being able to get past something like that and survive it, and maybe it's not something that horrible, maybe it's something like I had one time where I had a job, I thought it was a job offer and it wasn't. And it devastated me at the time because I was so ready to leave the job I'm in. So whenever that fell through, I was absolutely devastated by it and was very upset and all those kind of things. Now I see that as providing me with clarity, but at the time it was very upsetting. So if we can get to where we can see these setbacks and obstacles and challenges as just learning experiences and lessons, but something that we can overcome and learn from and move on, and maybe even feel grateful for later in our life, then that's what can really change our lives for the better. If we can kind of back up from it a little bit, distance ourselves a little bit from whatever's happening and see the big picture, then we're much more likely to be happier. My next affirmation is, ideas flow to me like a spring of creativity. And I just thought that was a really pretty one. This one I love because I am an author and I, write books, both fiction and nonfiction, and creativity, and I write blogs and of course do podcasts and things. And I think creativity is an essential part of my life. I think it's an essential part of all of our lives in some form or fashion. There's something in our life that makes us want to be creative, because I think by nature, all of us are creators. So I love the idea of ideas flowing into me like a spring. I love that image, so I wanted to mention this one. The next affirmation is, I experience miracles daily. And that one, I just love the whole miracle thing. I just love it. I think it's really important to see the different things that happen to us in our life as positive things and as miracles as often as possible. I think it just really does, it can make you a much happier person if your outlook on life is that miracles happen on a daily basis. I personally believe that. And you may believe something different. Maybe that's too frou-frou or goofy or soft and fuzzy for you, warm and fuzzy, but I prefer to believe that miracles happen daily. The next affirmation is, all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive is blessed and multiplied every single day. Now this one I chose because I think it's really important, whatever part of your life it is that you're working on and struggling in, I think it's really important to feel like you're blessed and watched over by that higher power. But I also think it's important to believe that anything that you send out, you get back multiplied. And there's lots of scripture and different books on, different kinds of belief systems, religions, and different things that talk about the more you give, the more you receive, and, things will be multiplied to you tenfold, and lots of different things. I actually do believe that. I think it's true of everything, especially love, but I think it's true of every single thing. So if you give out lots and lots of love, you're going to get even more love back. If you send out positivity, you're going to get even more back. And I also think it's true of things like money and wealth, that the more you send out, as long as you're in the right mindset, it'll be multiplied and sent back to you, because there's this unlimited flow of abundance in the universe, and we all have access to it. There are no limits. We don't need to fight and compete over this kind of stuff, because there's no limit to it. It's silly to compete and to fight for something that we all have access to in in more amounts than any of us can even fathom. So I think that's a real important one to know too. My next one I'm going to share is, my ability to conquer my challenges is limitless. My potential to succeed, infinite. And obviously this isn't guaranteeing that we won't fail, but I think it's really important to say that we can overcome any challenge that comes our way. And I always think of Helen Keller when I think of this one. I always think of that poor girl back, several decades ago, back before we even had technology, who was both blind and deaf, and managed to write and managed to teach and managed to live a positive life that was so inspirational to everyone who knew her or knows anything about her. I just think she's such a perfect, wonderful example of that. If someone who's blind and deaf can succeed in this life, not only succeed, but be wise and be wonderful, I think that should open it up to the rest of us to realize if she can do it, I can do it too. None of us are unable to do anything, no matter what disability we may have. And so our potentials to succeed are infinite. They really are, with each and every one of us. So that's very empowering, I think, very powerful. My next affirmation is, every day I discover new things that bring me joy. And this one comes back to one of the ones before. If you look for something, you will find it, whatever it is you're looking for. And this is something I've made an affirmation in my life for a long time, looking for new things to bring me joy. And guess what? I find them every day, new things. So the more you look for joy, the more you're going to find it. I love personally to look at nature is one of my big ones. I love to look, there's some woods behind where I work that I like to do daily walks in and check out all the different parts of nature, birds and squirrels and turtles and all sorts of things. I even saw 4 deer one day back there, even though it's kind of in an urban area. And then I've also my own neighborhood and different things. And the sky is so beautiful. If you look for joy and beauty, you will find tons of it. The more you look, the more you seek, the more you will find it. So my next affirmation is, my soul is my sanctuary. I go within and find the deepest love. And the reason I share this one is because of the importance of getting to know your real self. And I'm not talking about your body, I'm talking about your spirit. It's important to love your body and to love every part of it, no matter what it looks like right now. It's so important to love your body because it is a part of you. But this is actually focusing more on the spiritual soul part of ourselves that is within. And what I use to find that person, that entity, is mostly meditation. I think it's so powerful when you can sit quietly with yourself or listen to a guided meditation that's leading you deeper within yourself and lets you realize the power that you have. It's super calming. It helps so much with patience and serenity in your life. It just helps with every aspect of your life if you can separate from this noisy world for a little while and go within and be that quiet soul, that spirit. It just puts everything into perspective. This other one I actually got from one of my mentors, Kelly Cooper, whom I adore, and you guys know because I've talked about her a lot. She talks about how money is something that you can only receive if you believe you can receive it. So I actually created a little meme of this for myself and put it on my Pinterest page that says, I can receive lots of money out of nowhere. Because that's something I think, and that's something we in this world, we have a hard time believing. We think money is only possible through certain means. Most of us think it's only possible through our job or through the lottery, basically. That's the way I've grown up. It's just, there's only two, it doesn't grow on trees. You know, we hear those kind of sayings our whole lives too. But the whole thing of, well, money can only come, it's a very special thing, even though it's just paper and just metal. But we think that it can only come from certain sources. And when you limit it like that, you limit how it can arrive to you. So I made this one of my affirmations. I can receive lots of money out of nowhere because honestly, we're talking about things on the level of spirit. And we're talking about the universe, and we're talking about God. We're talking about unlimited power and unlimited love and unlimited abilities to create whatever. And so when you're talking about the divine, it's not limited in any way. So can money come to you from out of nowhere? Absolutely. But to actually receive it that way, you have to believe it. So I turned it into an affirmation. So thank you, Kelly, for inspiring me to do that. Another one, and this is largely related to my job, but it can happen to any part of your life. This one is, today I will not stress over things I can't control. And that's a big one because as much as we can control how we think, or we can work on it, we can control our reaction to things. There are things in our lives and lots of circumstances that we cannot control. We don't have any control on what other people do, for example. We can react to it. We can get angry, or react good to it, react in a positive way to it, but there's nothing we can really do to control other people for any kind of long circumstance. So knowing that that is true, then I try just to not stress over it. There's things that are out of my hands, and it doesn't do me any good to worry about it or stress over it. So this is my affirmation. Today I will not stress over things I can't control. And the next one's a really simple one, but a really important one. And I like to do this with my meditation. This one is, I breathe in joy. So whenever I'm meditating and doing all that deep breathing that you do when you meditate, it's just very simple. Just deep breath in and deep breath out and all that kind of stuff. I like to picture that what I'm breathing in is joy. So when I inhale, I think I breathe in joy. And it's such a beautiful and very simple affirmation, but very powerful. Fill yourself with joy every day. The next one is, I have unlimited potential. And I think that's so important for all of us to remember, because we really are unlimited beings. And the next one is, my life serves a great purpose. This one was important to me because, at least personally, I wanted my life to be something meaningful. And so having this affirmation, my life serves a great purpose, just felt really good and positive to me. So I chose this one for that reason. And my next one is, I see harmony and healing among all people everywhere. Now, granted, we can't control what other people do, but what we can control is the way we think about other people and about the world and world events. And yes, the world may have chaos in it. Yes, the world may have conflict and war and all sorts of other negative things. But the more of us that can think positive thoughts about it, see harmony and healing among all people everywhere, I think the more good and the higher the vibration we will bring to this planet. And the more we do that and the higher that vibration becomes, the happier people will become automatically. The next one is, the universe supports me in all I do. And this one relates to some of the earlier examples I gave you. It's just really important to feel like you're being supported by that divine higher being, whether it's God, the universe. I tend to say those kind of interchangeably, but I know God is sometimes a negative reactor to some people. So maybe that's all you think of the higher powers being is God. But whatever you consider that higher power, it's all the same. It's all the same being, either way. But if you believe that whoever that is for you is supporting you in all you do, then it makes your life feel much better. You're not alone. You'll never be alone. It's impossible for you to be alone because you are supported by this higher power at all times. I'm no longer a slave to fear is my next affirmation. And this is a big one to me because most of the struggles that I've had in my life and most of the limits I've placed on myself personally have been all about fear. And that is something I am trying to crush on a daily basis. Get rid of that fear. I'm no longer a slave to fear. The next one is a quote by another famous personal development person. Her name is Brené Brown. You've probably heard of her if you are familiar with personal development spirituality circles. But this is her quote. Worthy now, not if, not when. We are worthy of love and belonging now, right this minute, as is. I just thought that was a beautiful affirmation, that we are all worthy of love at all times, right now, just the way we are. Warts and all, as they say. None of us are perfect, and yet we're all perfect. It's one of those really interesting, ironic dichotomies of truth that maybe physically we may not see ourselves as perfect, but spiritually we're always perfect. We've always been perfect, always will be perfect when it comes to our spirits and our souls. So I just thought that was a really beautiful little quote and a great affirmation to say. My next affirmation is, I am enough, I am whole, I am worthy. And those are such simple words, it's such 3-word sentences basically, so simple and yet so profound, because so many of us don't believe it. We don't believe that about ourselves. We don't believe we're enough. We don't believe we're whole. We don't believe we're worthy. And we're all of those things, 100%. Right now, you are enough. You are whole and you are worthy. And the more you can get yourself to believe that, the better off you'll be, the happier your life will be. And my next affirmation is, I am willing to release the need to be unworthy. I am worthy of the very best in life, and I now lovingly allow myself to accept it. And that one is from Louise Hay again. I just think the worthiness thing, the worthiness piece of our understanding is so important, because so many of us don't believe that we're worthy of anything. We're saying, I'm not worthy of a raise, so I'm not going to get one. I'm not worthy of finding my soulmate. I'm never going to get one. And the more you believe it, the more you make that true for yourself. So change that. Change that into, I am worthy of everything. Because you are. You absolutely are. And I'm going to use the example a lot of my mentors have used. I've heard several of them use this, and I'm going to use it too. Think of a newborn baby coming into this world, crying but beautiful and gorgeous and brand new, and little chubby cheeks, little bundles of cuteness. Does anyone question that they are worthy of anything? When we see a newborn, most of us have this automatic response of, oh, I want to give you the world. Oh, you are worth everything. You are awesome. Look at what a beautiful, beautiful baby you are. Just remember that all of us were that baby at one point in our lives. And you were worthy then, and you are worthy now. And the more you can convince yourself of that, the more powerful your life will become, and the more positive and happy it'll become. And my very last affirmation, number 25, I make choices that honor who I am. And this one's really important, and another one that's simple yet profound, because our choices is what make up who we are. And the more we choose to love ourselves and to give of ourselves and to honor ourselves, it's amazing what that can mean. Because that may mean saying no when you're used to saying yes. Maybe you are overstressed and you overdo in your life and you're exhausted all the time because you don't know how to say no to people. People ask you to do stuff and you just automatically agree. You don't have to automatically agree. It's your life, not theirs. They don't get to tell you what to do. And if they ask you to do something, you are always free to say no, even if that means that they're upset at you. That's on them, baby. That's not you. You get to say no whenever you want. So that's just a really important thing. I think a lot of us, we just say yes to everything, and then we get completely deluged in the busyness of life, and you always get the choice to say no. You get the choice to do whatever you want, be whoever you are, make the decisions that make you happy. And how that affects other people, that is on them, especially if they're adults, okay? Obviously, little kids have to be taken care of and things like that, and you're responsible for that if you're their parent. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about adults. A lot of adults lay things on other adults that is really, you don't have to say yes to that. If you feel like it's a burden and you feel like you shouldn't have to do it, then say no. And they have to deal with the consequences on themselves. So yeah, that's important too. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up this lovely little podcast. I hope these affirmations made you feel better today, made you feel stronger within yourself and your spirit. And if you like these affirmations, please check out my website, writinginyourjammies.com. Hit subscribe and you'll get more positivity for your email. And I just hope you have a fabulous day. Bye-bye. I truly appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to this show. You can learn more about the topics discussed on this episode and sign up for my positivity newsletter at my website, writinginyourjammies.com. You can also check out all my books on my Amazon author page, keyword Jeannie Hall. Remember that you are worthy of all good things. You are beautiful, amazing, and made of love and light. Thanks again.